Hey guys, it's Beth, and today is February 1st, 2019, which means we have officially made it through 1 month of 2019. So I want to give you guys a quick update on how I'm doing with my crafty goals so far this year. And again, this is part of the 2019 Crafty Goals collab with Amalia, and she is on YouTube as Cool Cakes and Crafts with Amalia, and she started this collaboration for other crafty YouTubers who wanted to set some goals this year and have some accountability and support as they work through them. So if you missed my intro to my goals that I did at the beginning of this month, or if you're new to my channel, welcome. And to give you kind of a little bit of background, I always set goals for myself. I've always been a goal setter, but 2018 was the first year I actually set crafty goals for myself, and that was because all of my craft projects, my crafty time, I treated more as a reward than a priority. And you know, so if I managed to get everything else done in the house or with the business that needed to get done, then I could sit down and reward myself with some crafting, but that never happens. Everything never gets done, so I was never rewarding myself, and I was cranky. So once I kind of sat down, I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, what's missing? I have a great life, we're very blessed, but something's missing, and it was my crafty time. So I decided to set some goals, some actual crafty goals last year, break those out separately, and then started my YouTube channel to, one, hold myself accountable to those goals, and two, make them even more of a priority because I felt like I needed to do it for others, not just myself. And then this year, as part of the collaboration with Amalia, I've joined a whole group of other super crafty women, and we're all trying to refine our goals a little further and make our goals priorities and work towards those goals together. So I will leave the links to all the other collaborators in the description below, so please go check out their channels, check out their goals and their projects, and then be sure to check out Amalia and her channel at Cool Cakes and Crafts with Amalia, because she not only talks about her goals, but she kind of gives you some ideas if you're wanting to set some of the goals yourself. She gives you some questions to ask yourself, some ideas to work through to help you define or refine those goals. So, that being said, wanted to give you an update on where I am with my goals so far as of the end of January. So my biggest goal, if you remember, was to use up a whole paper pad, like one whole pad per month. Now, I gave myself some grace or some leeway this year with what I'm considering a pad. Like this year, it's anything that's an actual pad, if it's a collection pack of paper, or if it's a random collection that used to be in a pad. But the way I stored my paper for a while is I would tear it all out of the pad and store it by color. So now I have drawers full of paper that was once a pad that they all still go together, but they're just filed separately. So I'm also counting those that used to be part of a pad. If I can put those back into a collection, then I'm going to count that as well, because I found myself focusing on just the pads, but not all that loose paper that's in my stash. So I want to find a way to use that up. So that was kind of a side note, refinement based on my original goal. So to use up one pad, and then I also told myself this month that not only do I just want to use it up, but I want to try and get 3 different areas of projects out of each pad that I kill. So one, I want to do some personal projects that may be scrapbook pages or decorations for my home. 2, I want to make some things to donate, so the bookmarks, cards, other like care package goodie items that I can send to Cards for Soldiers. And then 3, and I hate to use the word most important, but kind of the most, like the weightier area of those 3 would be to make something that I can sell either at our craft shows or on my Etsy shop or at the local handmade boutique that we have some of our items stocked at. And the reason I say it's the weightier area is because, one, if I make it and I sell it, now that's revenue producing. So not only am I getting revenue in, but that money would then offset the cost that I originally paid for that pad, or even totally pay for it. But then two, by making it part of it a revenue inventory item, it also gives me a little more leeway in saying that I can work on this during my craft business hours instead of as an extracurricular activity that I do, like, you know, when my kids are in bed. So I can actually prioritize it a little more and maybe get through the pads a little faster. So again, and it's also nice that if I do get money back for that, then, you know, most of the pads I never pay full price for. So even if I made 4 cards from it that I sell in our Etsy shop or one of our craft shows, and I sell those 4 cards, then that may more than pay for the pad that I bought years ago. So not only am I using up my stash, making items to donate to help others, making projects to help myself, but then I'm also getting money back for that paper that has sat in my stash forever. So long story short, those are some different ways that I've kind of refined my use up 1 pad a month goal. But I did use a pack in January, and I did the intro video for that. It was the Fancy Pants Love Story Valentine's collection pack. And so I used that up, and I will have the final video for that one with the project shares of the projects I made for that. That will come out next week. My next goal was to complete 5 personal scrapbook pages, and I actually did 7 in January. 5 of those came from the pad that I used up this month, and then 2 other ones were random ones that I did. And I had actually, when I was looking for something else at the beginning of January, I ran across those 12 by 12 iris bins, and it had a couple of page kits in it that I put together for myself a couple years ago. And it had all the pictures that I wanted to scrap, and then it had, you know, the papers, the cardstock, and the embellishments, and it was all there for me, and I hadn't done it yet. So I went ahead, stopped whatever I was looking for, stopped what I was working on. I did those couple pages and got them in the albums, got them out of my storage stash, and finally used it up. So that's my theme of this year, is to use it up and to just do it, to stop thinking about it, stop hoarding it, stop saving it, just do it. Anyway, my third goal was to use up a card kit, or use up card kits. And I didn't tie a number to it, but in my head I would love to do 6 for the whole year. And I did not use up one in January, but I did start one in January. And one thing I want to do with the card kits is to also try and come up with one item that I can sell out of it, so I can get one revenue generating project out of it. And again, that will help offset the price of the kit, and then it will help me to prioritize it a little more so I can hopefully use them up faster, because I have so many card kits that I've received through subscriptions over the years, and I just haven't had time or made time to use them. So that's one thing that I want to do. My next one is to use up embellishments. And again, I didn't tie a number to this one. I just want to remind myself that I have them. I used to have all of my stickers and embellishments kind of stored on my craft table, and it just became too much clutter, too much visual clutter. So I moved them. Like, now the 3D embellishments are in a drawer, and my stickers are kind of in a cube cubby that's at the end of my desk, and so I don't see them. And so now sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. So I'm trying to retrain myself to remember those, to think of those and use those. And then I don't care how many I use up per month. I just want to track, just so that at the end of the year I can say, oh my gosh, I actually did look at all the stuff I used and finished off out of my stash. Because I tend to buy, but I tend to not use up. So this is more just like a record keeping line item for me. And then my last goal was to use or decorate one upcycle type item out of my stash as well. So all those things that I've bought or collected over the years thinking I could make something else out of it or make it into something else, I need to start using that because I'm running out of room. So for January, one of the item that I chose is one of those, it's just like a craft foam cone. You can get them at the Dollar Tree. And I've seen so many like YouTube and Pinterest projects using these like over the last few years, and so I had stocked up on a bunch of them, and they were all still sitting in my stash. So when I was doing my pad kill for January, it had this pom-pom trim in it, and I don't like to use 3D embellishments on my 12 by 12 album pages because I tend to pack my albums really full, and I don't want the pages to get all wonky for being stored that way. So I don't like to use something I mean, it's not overly thick, but I don't like to use anything that's too thick on my scrapbook pages, and I couldn't see myself using it on a card. So on Pinterest, I had seen something where they took one of these cones, and I think they used like lace or fabric, like a white or off-white, and then they had a trim that had little hearts dangling from it, and so it was like a Valentine's decoration, like a Valentine's tree. I'm like, oh, so let's see if I can recreate that with this pom-pom trim. And instead of fabric, I have tons of twine in my stash. So I just hot glued the twine onto the cone and made it, make it into a tree, and then hot glued the trim on as well. And I don't know that it looks very Valentine-y. I might be able to get away if I can pair it with some other like red and burlappy or, twine type elements. But if not, it will definitely go in my Christmas decorations because I have some other trees that I did several years ago that's actually burlap that's wrapped around these. So I could totally group this in with those. So then it took me like 5 minutes to do this, and there's so many things that have accumulated in my stash because I feel like I don't have the time. There's that have the time. I use that a lot. I've just never made the time to do them because I felt like they were going to take a lot of time that I couldn't justify or that I just didn't have at the time. And then when I sit down and do it, it takes 5 minutes, and it was like super simple. So had I just done it at the time, there's probably so much of that stuff that wouldn't be in my stash. I don't know if you guys are like that too, but... And total side note, I think I have crafter's attention deficit disorder. I can sit down and focus on crafting, like that's not the problem, but it's in my brain. I'm trying to focus on 50 million crafts at one time. Like either I'm working on several projects at one time, or I'm already thinking and planning for the next project while I'm still working on the current project, and it's like too much. It's like that, I think it was a meme that came up on Facebook at one point that it was a computer screen with like 50 tabs open, and it's like this is your crafter's brain or something. That's totally what I feel like. I just have so many craft tabs, idea tabs open in my brain, and there's just not enough, too many ideas, not enough time, right? I think that's how we all feel. So anyway, I feel really good about January. And one of the things that I also didn't think about in January is the fact that my using up a whole pad per month is a pretty ambitious goal. Because obviously that would be 12 pads for the year. And I realize that it's ambitious, but I think I'm going to keep it just because it will help me to push myself. Like I'm afraid if I shoot too low, then I'm not going to push myself. And I'm okay if I don't reach it because it's kind of like what I talked about in my introduction to my goals, or when I told you about how I did on my goals for last year. I only got 6 of my 12 pads done last year, used up. But once I looked at everything I made with those pads, I was pretty okay with only those 6. So if I shoot for 12, if I only get 6, if I only get 10, or if I happen to do 12, that's fine. I just want to keep more of a stretch goal to give myself something to reach for. And I've also, as I mentioned earlier, given myself a little bit more flexibility in what I consider a pad. It doesn't have to be an actual attached pad. It could be those collection packs. Or, like I said, a group of the coordinating paper that I have spread out in my stash as well. And it can be anything from 5 pages that might be left up to 180. So, yeah, I think it's a little more doable the way I'm looking at it this year than the way I looked at it last year. But again, if I don't hit 12, I'm still okay with that because I'm using up my stash and I'm making a lot of stuff out of it. So, but like I said, I feel good about January. I have had so much energy in tackling these goals, and I've had the same energy and enthusiasm to like my business and my life goals as well. So, you know, 1 month in, let's see if I can keep the energy and momentum going for the next 11 months to reach all those goals. But how are you guys doing on your goals? I know a lot of you said that you were trying to use up your stash. I'd love to know how you guys are doing. One, just because it can help keep you accountable if you're sharing your progress with us as well. But then two, like you guys have been so supportive of me. I would love to be able to give some of that support back to you and encourage you on as you're working towards your goals as well. So please don't be afraid to state your goals, or, you know, if you've only used up 5 pages out of your pad, don't be afraid or ashamed to say that, like, because still that's 5 pages that are out of your stash now that you've made something with. So please feel free to share those so that I can encourage you and others can encourage you as well. And I hope you guys are all doing well on your goals and that you've had a good January. And I don't know where you're all located, but I know most of the United States has been unusually cold for the area for the last several days. I know the Midwest where I am has been kind of ridiculously cold. So if you're somewhere that's been really cold, I hope you're staying warm. And if you live somewhere that's warm, please send warm thoughts to those of us that are really cold. So, although yesterday here in central Indiana, it was like negative 38, 40 with the wind chill. And then on Monday, I think it's supposed to be 59. So that's like, if you look at the wind chill, factor in the wind chill to the true temperature, like next week, that's like a 90-degree swing. Crazy, crazy weather going around, I think everywhere right now. But anyway, if you're cold, hang in there. Hopefully it's almost over the worst spell anyway. And if you're warm, like I said, send some warm thoughts out to the rest of us. But thank you guys so much for all your support. The support you gave me after I stated my goals, that contributed to my energy and momentum this month. So I thank you so much for all of that. And thank you guys for your time today. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.